Good morning, everyone. Welcome to all the participants and for joining this webinar session today on NerveSec Ops. Let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Vishal Dhar and I'm representing Novel Vista today. And I will be today's moderator for this webinar session. I hope my voice is audible and it is clear to everyone. If it is not, if you can't hear me, if there are any issues, please feel free to use your questions and answers or chat option on the right hand side of your panel to let us know. Okay, I am getting the responses, positive ones. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, all right. All right, great. I believe most of the participants are able to hear me. In case if you're facing any issue, maybe later on, you can use this option to let us know. Moving ahead, let me quickly introduce Novel Vista. We are one of the largest training organizations with a huge portfolio of more than 2,000 courses and a team of 300 plus trainers who are associated with us. And we have always believed in knowledge sharing activities wherein we introduce the industry experts to our participants, and one of such activities is webinars. Uh, you can see on your screen right now, which I have shared, a WhatsApp number. You can simply send us a message on that, and you can stay updated for the future webinar updates. As currently we are facing a lockdown due to COVID-19, we have extended this webinar activity, and we have a lot of interesting webinar topics and many experienced speakers from the industry lined up for this whole month. Uh, just adding up again here, you need to send us a message on the WhatsApp number mentioned on the screen to stay updated. Let me quickly introduce our today's speaker, Mr. Biswajit Mohapatra. He is a thought leader in multi-cloud transformation with 23 plus years of cross-functional experience in business development, IT strategy consulting, pre-sales, client engagement, practice development, delivery management, technology innovation, and building inspired teams. A technology executive with deep expertise in winning and managing large-scale multi-cloud digital transformation programs. Mr. Biswajit is also founder member at IBM Faculty Academy, board member at International Institute of Business Analysis, Pune chapter, and DevOps Institute ambassador as well. He has advised 35 plus Fortune 500 clients on multi-cloud transformation strategy, delivered 60 plus large-scale complex system integration programs, and is quite proficient in building strong CXO relationships as a trusted partner. He has a diverse industry experience in serving clients across banking, insurance, telecom, retail, manufacturing, media, and healthcare industries. With such a huge and diverse experience, he has been very well awarded at various platforms and occasions. To name a few, he has been awarded as CIO of the Year award winner for 2019 at CIO 500 Conclave, Turnaround Strategy 2020 award winner at Chief Strategy Officer Summit as well. So let me quickly hand it over to Mr. Biswajit for today's session. Mr. Biswajit, can you hear me? Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect.
I'm
Thank
just
you.
making you presenter, and you can take it over from here, sir.
Okay, so you guys can see my screen now.
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, so Thank you, Vishal, for a nice and long introduction, of course, right? And thanks everyone for joining the session today. This is my third session at Nobel Vista. Earlier, probably some of you have already identified. We had discussions around creating cloud transformation roadmap, and then the second session was around application migration and modernization journey. And today I'll be talking about another important topic, which is DevSecOps, and how we can take DevOps approach to security when we are enabling our clients in their hybrid multi-cloud transformation journey. So with that, just to set a quick context for all of you, we all know disruptions has always been happening to our age of life. Innovation and disruption is a continuous process that has been happening since time oblivion, which all of us are aware of. When we came to know about fire, it changed the way we eat, the way we live, and of course, the way we protect ourselves. Then, when wheels came along, it changed how we move ourselves and our goods from one place to another. When we invented writing, as you see on the right side of the chart, it changed how we can communicate our thoughts even while not physically being present. So those are basically the early days. However, as you all know, the pace of disruption in our life and work has been increasing exponentially over a period of time. From industrial revolution to aeroplanes to computers, internet, and then today's hyper-connected, digitally infused world, we all are facing huge change of pace of disruption. We know what is new today is probably not going to be the same tomorrow for all of us. So enterprises definitely need to respond to disruptions and reinvent themselves in the digital era to survive. Those who are not digitally reinventing themselves, those who are not recreating their business processes or reshaping the industry, probably will be pushed very soon to the land of oblivion. And that's the changing business paradigm today. Today, as we all know, businesses are building around experiences. As you see on the right side of the chart, what we call as SMAC technologies, whether it's cloud, cognitive, mobile, social, or security, those are the changing technologies that is bringing in new focus, new ways of doing work, as well as new expertise as we help our clients digitally transform in this new era. When I talk about new business models, it could be market activation. When I talk about new ways to work, it could be creating cognitive actionable insights or focused around responsive operations, or it may be building new expertise within each one of us or within our organizations so that we have restless talent as well as orchestrated ecosystem within our organizations built up. To do that, definitely businesses need to be, number one, extremely agile. Number two, businesses needs to be responsive. Of course, number three, the businesses needs to be completely integrated. And number four, there should be clear customer focused, customer obsession in everything and anything that we do. And more To wrap it around, this has to be built on the practices and principles of security, because security going forward, and many of you know, the COVID and post-COVID era is going to be an integral part of anything and everything we do going forward from here, right? So there is a strong need to really align business to IT to drive right outcomes for our business today, to drive right digital reinvention journey for our clients today. And the thread that is really pulling these pieces together, making completely business to IT alignment happen to deliver right outcome for our clients is nothing but DevOps, right? So if I talk about DevOps, be it user experience, be it alignment between business to IT, or be it responsive operations, DevOps is going to play a very integral role in everything and anything that we are going to do going forward from here. Whether it's implementing fast and flexible operational processes to bring together efficiency into our operations, whether it's dealing with tighter interface between business and IT, or delivering richer and more aligned user experience, taking a iterative approach, DevOps is an integral part of the entire digital reinvention journey for our clients today. And of course, we all know as we are entering to the second stage of cloud, so cloud is all about new normal today, right? And digital reinvention by moving to cloud is going to be completely augmented by DevOps. When I talk about moving to cloud, so there are multiple entry points, whether you are advising your clients in terms of creating cloud transformation roadmap, taking business value, technology value, cost value into account, or once you create the cloud transformation roadmap, whether you are migrating to cloud, doing lift and shift to the newer cloud environment, or modernizing to the cloud, maybe by breaking the monoliths, building microservices, containerize your applications in the cloud native world, or completely rewriting your old legacy mainframes to newer cloud environment, or maybe it is consolidation, right? You're doing application workload consolidation or application workload optimization, rationalizing to the cloud, or there may be need for building cloud native applications altogether, right? Born on the cloud methods. Or once you migrate, modernize, rationalize, or build on cloud, maybe you are moving into a run and manage phase where you are doing operations on cloud as well, right? So, but all these stages, as you see on the diagram on the right side of the chart, DevOps and security is going to be an integral part, right? Whether it's thinking about doing continuous business planning, whether it's thinking about doing continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous testing, or continuous optimization, right? Or continuous monitoring and tracking. At every stage, probably DevOps is going to be an integral part of your entire software development lifecycle when you are enable your clients through a hybrid multi-cloud transformation journey. And we all know multimodal IT is a reality today. And with cloud, we are at the forefront of that multimodal IT. There are multiple ways an organization can leverage cloud, as I explained to you, whether it's migrating to cloud, whether it's modernizing to cloud, whether it's rationalizing for cloud, or building cloud native applications, or run and manage on the cloud. So at every stage, as you know, DevOps is basically going to be the ticket to every organization's, every client's digital reinvention journey. So that's why it's extremely important today. We as developers or operations community or site reliability engineers should acquire right process, method, and tool skills when it comes to making our clients' transformation journey DevOps enabled, right? That's one part of it when you talk about DevOps, but as you know, doing DevOps is probably just not enough, because today in the context of security, security is before everything else, right? And whether it is talking about at one end of the spectrum, it's about confidentiality, integrity, availability, and all the elitities of the world, if we really talk about when we are defining security. And at the other end of the spectrum, if you are not implementing security, there is huge business impact, right? Be it financial loss, intellectual property loss, reputation loss, lot of legal actions, cyber law related stuff, or loss of customer confidence, business interruption costs. So those are actually, we all know, right? Some of the recent security breaches, and probably after the COVID era, you know how much security has really become important in every one of us day in life, right? So just doing DevOps is not enough, is what I'm trying to say. Security has to be an integral part of your entire end-to-end DevOps tool chain and DevOps implementation. And that is giving rise to what is probably the topic of the interest today, and what we are going to discuss in next several minutes is all about DevSecOps, right? So DevSecOps is all about introducing security earlier in the life cycle of your application development, thereby minimizing the vulnerabilities and bringing closer to IT and business objectives so that you can achieve your business to IT alignment more efficiently, more effectively. And introduce all of you to DevSecOps. The way I look at it, DevSecOps is the philosophy of integrating practices and principles within your DevOps implementation spectrum, within your DevOps processes. DevSecOps is all about creating a security as code culture, which is probably the traditional software development lifecycle. If you come from the days of waterfall model to be saved to though of course it was incorporating certain these aspects there, to the more newer agile development, probably security was kind of always considered as a afterthought, right? But what is that we're trying to introduce as part of DevSecOps is, as I mentioned, all about creating a security as a code culture. This is definitely a natural and necessary response to address various bottlenecks of older security models, as I talked about, and bridge those gaps through modern continuous delivery pipeline through secured operations. So that is DevSecOps. To put it in perspective for all of you, in DevSecOps, we have two important goals to achieve. The first is definitely what DevOps provides, and many of you are already aware of. That's nothing but your speed of delivery. The second important thing that we are trying to achieve as part of DevSecOps is how we can merge the secure code in a very streamlined process as part of your phase by phase implementation of DevOps pipeline. So this will add robust security methods over traditional DevOps practices from very beginning. From day one, you will have those secured methods over the traditional DevOps practices. And many of you may be hearing terms like rugged DevOps. So rugged DevOps is nothing but engineering those security measures in all stages of your software design and development pipeline. So how do we summarize then the DevSecOps, right? Important components for all of us to remember. We need to have mechanism around code analysis. We all are aware of several static and dynamic code analysis tools that's prevalent in the market today that we can use to do the code scanning to identify the vulnerabilities in the code that you develop before you really put the code into deployment hub or into production, basically, right? So code analysis is going to be an important aspect of your DevSecOps implementation. And key I think probably all of us understand implementing a sound change management principle, sound traceability matrix as part of your DevOps implementation is going to be the key success criteria for your DevSecOps journey. The third important component is how do I introduce various compliance checks? How do I introduce various management and monitoring mechanisms to ensure that the security aspects are embedded into my entire end-to-end life cycle? The fourth important component DevSecOps implementation is how do I do the threat investigation? How do I do threat modeling, right? And many of you may be hearing terms like zero trust security, basically, right? How do I implement zero trust security aspects as part of my overall end-to-end DevSecOps implementation? And of course, adhere to various cognitive methods, various cognitive technologies to ensure that I have sound threat modeling techniques in place to identify and investigate proactively and predictively all the threats probably that may come into my transformation process, right? The fifth important component, I think I kind of touched upon that earlier as well, which is nothing but your vulnerability assessment, whether it's network intrusion detection, whether it's penetration testing. How do you really integrate all of those vulnerability assessment techniques to make your entire implementation go smoothly in a very, very secured manner? And the sixth important aspect is, of course, the last one, but not the least. Obviously, all of us as developers, as operational professionals, as system site reliability engineers need to really enable ourselves with the right kind of security training, security knowledge, so that we embed it as part of the process as we move along in the entire journey from business planning to integration to deployment and to manage, monitor, and track, right? So those are the 6 components that I wanted to highlight with each one of you when we talk about DevSecOps journey for your clients or for your organizations, right? So when I talk about enterprise DevSecOps practices, it's nothing but a combination of DevOps, operations, and security, with quality being integral part of each of those aspects, basically, right? And when we are talking about key DevSecOps practices, we are going to consider various communication and collaboration protocols. If you are building microservices, how do we really make those microservices secured? How do I embed continuous integration practices and principles? How do I embed continuous delivery as part of my CI/CD pipeline and implementation flow? And what is going to be various aspects of infrastructure as a code and security as a code when I implement those? And of course, very key aspect again, how do I monitor, track, manage, and log through certain audit trailing mechanism as we move along from each step of my DevOps pipeline when I'm implementing DevSecOps practices and principles. So how hard it could be, basically, and we know there are multiple tools, multiple products, and the entire IT community is flooded with n number of tools and products. But the caution that I want to really give you here is that tools are not answer to the problem that you have, basically, right? Tools are enablers. So how do we really set up your process, orchestrate your process, orchestrate a very streamlined operation is key of your DevSecOps implementation success, rather than getting bogged down by tools and which tool I should use, what is going to be the input output parameter for the tools, how those tools are going to talk. Yeah, tools are important, but definitely if you're not setting up a right process, you're not adhering to the right principles, probably you may not get right value out of your DevSecOps implementation is what I'm trying to highlight, right? So when you talk about DevOps code culture, it's all about creating value and availability, and these are just sample set of tools. You could plug in many set of tools, and today we know probably we have periodic table of tools when it comes to DevOps and DevSecOps implementation coming from JVL Lab and some of the other companies. So you could plug and play those tools based on your need, based on your organization capability. Maybe you could do a DevSecOps assessment for your organization identify what is the maturity level for your organization, whether you are at a defined stage or you are at the expert level or whether you are at a optimized stage. And then of course you can bridge those gaps looking at the processes and how you could bridge those process gaps and how tools can enable you into those processes basically, right? So slowly what we're trying to do here is from the culture of creating value and availability, which is very important, we are kind of doing plus plus. We are moving to a DevSecOps code-based environment where along with value and availability, more and more we are going to focus on creating trust as well as confidence into your entire implementation pipeline, right? And that is what exactly DevSecOps is going to bring into the table, starting from your source code to your CI servers, the way you do test and scan, the way you build deliverables, the way you build artifacts, the way you deploy your code, right? And after the deployment, the way you manage, monitor your code. All those things are going to be a step-by-step continuous process. And DevSecOps will ensure that you are implementing trust and confidence in each stage of this pipeline as you move along in this journey. So we talked about digital reinvention, and of course we understand now that your organizations, your clients' digital reinvention journey is going to be enabled by DevSecOps, right? And when you talk about DevSecOps implementation, there are three important pillars as we discussed, right? How I am going to drive my agile development practices. What is going to be my focus on integrated and efficient operations, and how I'll ensure that security is part of my culture. I am adhering to security as a code culture at every step of my transformation journey. When I see agile development, right, maybe I'll focus on building integrated development squads around agile values. When I talk about orchestrated operations, I need to focus on automated DevOps pipeline and optimization. And when I need to embed security as every step of my journey, of course, zero trust security and policy driven cognitive security is going to play a very important role. And if I implement all those three pillars, bounded by continuous innovation, cognitive automation, site reliability engineering, which is probably shifting left as we move along on our transformation journey, and then various service management principles, there is a greater chance that I will be in a position to deliver integrated, seamless, holistic, efficient, and responsive value proposition for my clients. And that's the transformative approach every software organization and every professional who are practicing DevSecOps are really looking at today to accelerate the digital reinvention journey of their clients. Of course, when we are doing that journey, we know for sure process, method, and tools are going to be an integral part of that journey and going to play very important role when we implement DevSecOps, basically, right? We have teams who are experienced, who are skilled. If not, if there are skill gaps, probably we need to bridge those skill gaps and help our practitioners move from a T-shaped practitioner to a pie-shaped practitioner as we take that journey, or maybe the com-shaped practitioner that DevOps Institute is talking about today. And if you guys have a look at the latest DevOps Institute skill report, probably will get a lot of insight into that, how practitioners are moving up the value chain, how months of DevOps are moving up the value chain from a T-shaped practitioner to a pie-shaped practitioner to a E-shaped practitioner, be it a DevOps consultant, be it DevOps engineer or site reliability engineers, or your entire development team or project sponsors. This is going to be embedded into culture of the organization when you really implement DevSecOps into your organizations, right? So the framework is important. The framework is going to operate across 5 different levers or 5 different layers, so to say. We need to focus on integrated self-service experience as part of our DevSecOps implementation. When we talk about integrated self-service experience, of course, the focus is going to be maybe we have to build a DevSecOps self-service portal, various mechanisms of managed services, or maybe chatbots, and we call it chat ops today, right? So those are the things that are going to be part of your integrated self-service experience. When I talk about the second level, of course, various telemetry and insights are important, right? Whether your DevSecOps implementation is really going to provide right visibility at all levels within the organization, providing right set of data, right moment to the right individuals, right practitioners. Of course, it's going to detect various anomalies, and of course, going to provide various predictive analytics mechanisms, so that you could really bridge the gap before the problem occurs, or at times even self-heal your applications and implementation very proactively in the moment of something going wrong, right? Of course, you know, Grafana, Kibana, and so many other telemetry tools available today on the marketplace that you can implement there. The third important layer is about orchestrating the entire ecosystem. What is going to be the pipeline orchestration in terms of detecting the workloads, in terms of leveraging various templates to increase reusability and ensure quality and productivity there, right? And of course, various automation scripts that you can again leverage to ensure productivity, quality, and time to market advantage for your clients. In terms of the fourth lever, toolchain orchestration, how can you really, as I said earlier and talk about a couple of tools earlier, there are plethora of tools basically, right? So how do you make those tools get used based on your need in a very orchestrated fashion, whether curating or creating the entire DevOps toolchain pipeline or the tool registry. So those are the things you need to focus on as part of your DevSecOps implementation framework, right? And of course, the base level, you need to focus on various platform provisioning, maybe for IBM Private Cloud or OpenShift, creating various cookbooks, playbooks, right? How can you have a container platform built up? What are various environment setup mechanisms? What are various container lifecycle management mechanisms? Those are the things you need to really look at basically, right? So only one thing that is going to work here and become very successful is, if I really talk about, it's automation, automation, automation basically, right? So that's only going to be the key success mantra if you are adopting a DevSecOps framework and DevSecOps journey to digitally reinvent your clients, right? Of course, you need to get the various capability accelerators. You need to enable your teams on the right skills capability so that they're in a position to use the framework and maneuver the framework for the right set of needs. But focus on automation is the thing that is going to differentiate you and accelerate your client's digital reinvention journey from there, right? And of course, then you have plethora of choices when it comes about what cloud to use in a hybrid multi-cloud world. So we've got VMware, Microsoft Azure, IBM Cloud, Amazon, Google, Alibaba, Oracle, whatever it is basically, right? So we know about those hybrid multi-cloud ecosystem. And the focus is, of course, is going to be plan, execute, monitor, and try, right? And that's going to be a cyclic process that we need to really focus on as part of your framework implementation. Quickly talking about DevSecOps and various build services, right? I kind of explained integrated multi-cloud DevSecOps solution where you need to plan, develop, build, test, secure, deploy, and manage, right? You need to focus on having various support for multiple languages, programming models, and SDKs. Maybe it's Spring Boot or React JS or Streams, right? Various open source middleware mechanisms, maybe from your Red Hat OpenShift catalog, right? Of course, configuration and deployment for apps across multiple clusters and clouds is going to play a very critical role. Doesn't matter whether you're in a public, private, or dedicated model, or which cloud vendor you use. You need to really definitely focus on configuration and deployment management techniques, right? You need to ensure that your framework has right support for multiple runtimes, whether it's VMs, Kubernetes, various other containerization techniques, basically, right? And integrated with enterprise middleware and APIs, whether it's IBM WSPhere, Liberty, or API Connect, various other blockchain technologies that's prevalent in the marketplace today, right? So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say here is basically you establish your DevSecOps framework with a focus on self-service model and also drive adoption at scale, right? So that is what I call as MVP to scale, right? Have a minimum viable product and have a mechanism by which you can incrementally and iteratively scale from that MVP, leveraging all the set of tools that you have, leveraging all the frameworks that you could leverage, the programming languages, the middleware, various control planes, and of course at every stage of your software development lifecycle, right? That is going to make your DevSecOps journey probably more seamless and more effective as we speak, right? So I talked about agile and iterative approach of doing the development. So what has worked best for me is basically on this slide, right? So the way I look at it, basically agile and design thinking is an integral part of your DevSecOps implementation, right? So the never ever forget about your iterative approach for execution. Um, so think about agile, think about design thinking, and think about your DevSecOps practices, right? So at the very first stage, how do you really do it basically? So if you are engaged in a client engagement, obviously your first step is really to do the strategy and discovery work to find out, as I was mentioning, as part of your DevOps assessment, what are the gaps? How do you help your clients to move from a defined state to optimized maturity model? In the DevOps language, as we call as maturity 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, right? And 5 is as optimized maturity model. So how do I do that basically? Maybe I'll take a top-down approach to understand, talking to various client stakeholders. Maybe I'll take a bottom-up approach where I use various tools to get the application and infrastructure specific details, understand the goals, understand the impact, right? Understand various personas, do a value stream mapping or perform root cause analysis, and then finally identify these are the goals and tie that goal to some kind of success criteria that needs to be revisited over a period of time as part of the MVP that you plan to build, right? So once you create the strategy roadmap at the end of your discovery stage, then you start the iteration 0, where you think about various release hills in terms of factors, the actions and use cases, what's going to be your true user story for your DevSecOps implementation. And then you slowly build upon multiple iterations, looking at the 6 C's of DevSecOps implementation, as I told earlier, whether it's continuous business planning, continuous delivery, continuous integration, continuous feedback, continuous optimization, and continuous monitoring and tracking, right? And every time have your entire design thinking aspects and iterations tied up to each of those seeds, get addressed by various delivery playbacks, various demos, various delivery retrospectives, and that will enable you to more successfully delivering your MVPs and scaling up your MVPs as you move along on your DevSecOps integration journey. Okay, and so one is we are implementing DevSecOps, which is good, and that's going to make the entire digital reinvention journey more secured, more seamless, more agile, more responsive. But how do we really find out the success of your DevSecOps implementation basically? What are the critical measures for DevSecOps success? What are the KPIs and insights that you really need to look at? So I'm going to quickly touch upon that on this slide basically, right? Various progress to measure, maybe standard DevOps metrics. We'll talk about reduced batch type in terms of improving CI/CD pipeline, improving the quality, various architecture changes, whether you're moving to microservices or containerized world. Of course, eliminating silos is another key measure where there is a shared responsibility. Every team member is responsible to deliver business value, and of course, getting the continuous feedback at the end, right? Or it could be achieve the flow through elimination of bottlenecks or reducing the waste in the entire delivery pipeline as you implement your value stream. Of course, there is going to be metrics that is meaningful for the business, and there are going to be metrics that's meaningful for the technology as well as the delivery team. When I talk about big business, so some of the key metrics that we can focus on is basically what are the frequency of new features that is delivered to users, right? User story volume per release, various utilities I talked about, availability, performance, scalability, reliability, changeability, right? All those aspects we need to really measure, monitor. Of course, defect density is another key parameter, right? That we need to measure, and then various insights on product usage, fallouts, various A/B testing, canary testing results, and real-time recommendations. Those are the things we need to look at. When we talk about metrics that are important and useful for the delivery team, you need to focus on various maintenance versus innovation ratio. One of the standard question you get probably today, right? So I am doing traditional maintenance and support, and tomorrow I am implementing DevOps, moving to cloud. How my AMS, application maintenance and support work, is going to behave on the cloud world? Is my effort going to go up? Is my effort going to go down? Is it going to remain the same? So those are the key questions to be answered, and various levels that you need to look at. How your L2 support is going to behave, how your L3 support is going to behave, what is going to be your level 1.5 support, or minor modifications and enhancements, or there may be various levers of automation, there may be various levers of automating the entire DevSecOps tool chain. Are they going to really impact my estimation when I do the standard application maintenance and support on cloud, basically, right? How my T-certs are going to behave in terms of complexity, in terms of various incidences, right? And how do I do the service management differently? So those are the delivery metrics you need to really measure, monitor. Story points, what is the impact on your velocity in terms of quality, how automation, meantime, what we call as MTTR, or various defect backlogs, defect escaping automation. Those are the things really needs to be tracked, monitored, to find out how your SLIs, how your SLAs, and how your SLOs are going to behave as part of your entire value stream mapping and DevSecOps journey, basically, right? And of course, then the key points around code complexity. What is going to be the psychrometric complexity of your code? Is it going to reduce? Is your code going to be more reuse driven? Is your code more secured since you have implemented DevSecOps practices? The vulnerability has reduced, the compliance has increased. So all those things probably you need to measure very step by step, both qualitatively as well as quantitatively, to comment on how DevSecOps implementation has really bring in right return on investment over a period of time as you have embraced your digital reinvention journey. Yeah. So quickly, with all those in mind, so every one of us, every one of the organizations really need to take on how they could build a DevSecOps playbook that's going to be key for the DevSecOps implementation, right? We need to take into account of the operating model as we discussed. We need to take into account of the process, because we are going to redesign the business processes. We are going to reshaping various ways of doing things. So processes are going to play very important role. And of course, as we discussed, tooling is going to be one of the important parameter when it comes to driving automation, driving productivity, and driving quality as we embrace this journey. In terms of operating model, the focus needs to be on determining defect and feature flows for security. The focus is going to be surely on inventory work processes, various practices, policies, guidelines, various roles, skills, groups, right? Various speed of measures, decision-making capability of the organizations, matrices for measuring experiments and adopting various processes. In terms of processes, of course, what are the coding guidelines, infrastructure guidelines, rule engineering processes, right? Various mechanisms of security defect reporting, various templates that can drive automation, manual staging processes, so that how the code is going to really move from staging to production, various decision-making mechanisms there as well, right? Various escalation processes with clear stakeholders defined. Those are the things we need to really put it in our playbook. And in terms of tool, what is going to be your development framework, implementation framework, testing framework, what are the correlation engines that you are going to implement, what are the various foundational security controls that going to be embedded as business as usual process of your implementation journey. And of course, everything has to be integrated with your core organizational systems. So your playbook in a nutshell is going to address each of these points in very detail, and that is going to drive various successful outcomes in terms of opportunities to develop capacity without increasing risk, or improving the decision making capability, ability to communicate and train things better, and of course identifying various standards and templates, various software development methods, and ability to build up capacity for stage 2. Those are basically going to be your key outcomes there. While you're building the playbooks, every implementation, every plan is definitely associated with certain issues, certain risks. So you cannot really ignore those issues and risks as part of your playbook. So focus on risks like communication changes, various adaptation of skills, and believe me, those are also very difficult aspects within the organizations, various decision-making processes, expectations at all levels, starting from the C-level executives of the organization to the developers who are doing the CI/CD pipeline implementation and deployment. That needs to be taken into account. And of course, you need to really have various access control, authentication, audit, and risk guidelines that needs to be managed, monitored, and adhered to, so that your playbook can be followed under two, and your playbook can deliver right results as part of your overall implementation journey. Right. One important thing here is basically when you are doing DevSecOps implementation, again, governance plays really very critical role. So you cannot really ignore the governance aspects at all levels, starting from your steering committee to your maybe monthly governance to your daily governance with your teams, your clients, organizations. So those are need to be managed, monitored, tracked, so that every aspects of DevSecOps is kind of rightly monitored there, right? So with that, what I wanted to say that as we know, the world is really moving faster than ever. Organizations really need to embrace digital reinvention to become successful. And with post-COVID, with so many things changing, we are almost moving from a face-to-face world to a virtual, fast digital world. Security is an important parameter on everything and anything that we do today. And in this digital reinvention journey of your organization, of your client's organization, DevSecOps is the only success mantra that is going to stay relevant and help you to ensure that you are transforming your client's business rightly, with the right set of controls and ammunitions, so that your client's business is successful and you are successful in the journey as well, right? So that's all quickly what I really wanted to highlight on DevSecOps journey on a business context, setting the journey towards security. My coordinates are here. Any of you want to get in touch with me, you have my Twitter ID there as well on the slide. Please feel free to do that. Maybe for next 10 minutes, I'll kind of devote in some of the questions that you may have, and I'll try to answer that. But in essence of time, if I'm not able to answer some of your questions, feel free to write to me and post me on Twitter, and I'll be able to answer that offline to you guys. Thank you very much, and thanks for being patient to me for last 45-50 minutes. With that, over to you, Vishal.